Hi, it's Geneviève from the Red Fairy Project. Welcome to week 4 of Love Yourself Now. Hi, Havana. Havana wants to say hi. Want to say hi? Want to say hi to the people? This is my little Havana banana, and I love her so much. So sorry. Welcome to week 4, and this week is all about dealing with certain obstacles when we are working on our self-love. And some of those obstacles might be negative people that we love very much, but people that are maybe cynical or just negative. And it's really funny because I had to take a break. So I'm filming all my February videos at the same time. And I had to take a break because the snow guy was passing in the back. So today there's a crazy snowstorm outside. It's so beautiful. And so the guy that cleans the snow was out there and was making a horrendous noise, so I had to stop. Anyways, I checked my Instagram quickly while I was waiting for him to be done, and I was just on Instagram stories asking people if they would be interested in maybe a meetup in February. And Havana, she's so cute. She's sitting on me. She never does that. And I asked people also for topics that they would like me to touch on, and one of my friends actually responded, oh yeah, I would really love you to touch on what to do when we have people around us that are negative and cynical. And I think that's really interesting, because I think there's a difference between having somebody around you that's negative and then having somebody around you that's negative towards you and that's actually detrimental to your self-love. So for me, there's a bit of a nuance there. And I think I might touch on first, just quickly, what to do if you have somebody in your life that's actually detrimental to your self-love. And for me, that is a major issue, because if you're working really hard to grow that self-love and you have somebody that's basically sabotaging that, you're going to have to ask yourself some serious questions, and you're going to have to be really honest with the answers. Because if you have, let's say if it's a romantic partner, I mean, I think that is a huge issue. If it's, I don't know, if it's somebody in your family, these are maybe people that you can decide to maybe see a little less often, or you might decide to cut someone out entirely. I mean, I know of some people that they've had just horrible parents, or let's say a really negative mother, really critical mother, or something like that. I'm very thankful that that's not my case. I have very loving parents. But I've been more, I would say in my life, it's been more coworkers. I've had some negative, and I've had a few friends as well that are no longer in my life for exactly that reason. Now, they weren't negative towards me. They were just negative, and it was very dramatic, and I just found that very draining, and I didn't kind of need that in my life. And once again, the colleagues, it was the same thing. It was people that were really negative. So I guess I've been quite lucky in that I haven't had people that have been really detrimental to my self-love. But if you have that, you really want to assess the situation and see if that person is worth keeping in your life, or what do you want to do to protect yourself from that negativity and kind of destructiveness. It's crazy how I've never seen Havana. She's sitting on me. If ever you see my arms kind of moving, it's because she's sitting on my lap, and she never does that. I think she's really liking the diva light and like the warmth of the light, because she's never done this before. So another element that I find is she's decided to move. Okay, bye. And make up your mind. Okay. Another element that I find very destructive towards growing self-love is comparison. And I was just actually feeling that this morning. So I'm on social media quite a lot, on Instagram and Facebook. And I would say Facebook, it's more like I'm on a couple of like personal fitness and wellness groups, and that's super positive. And on Instagram too, I mean, obviously I follow positive people. However, when we fall into the comparison game, which I think is one of the biggest risks of social media today. So if you're not on social media, I guess you don't have to deal with that, although you can still fall into that trap in real life, in IRL, and compare yourself to other people. I mean, I know I've done that in my life and prior to social media, but social media really amplifies that. And for me, that's a real issue. And I have to say, I've had to unfollow some people on Instagram in particular, because at first I found them really inspiring, but then I noticed, and once again, it's always about being self-aware. I started noticing the dialogue that was going on in my mind when I was scrolling through my feed, and certain people in particular, and it was like, oh, I don't have that. Or, oh, she's prettier than me. Oh, she's more fit than me. She has more friends than me. She has a more beautiful house than me, etc., etc. So, Amanda, oh my God, she's like climbing up. You're crazy today. She's climbed up. Oh, you won't be able to see her on my headboard. This winter storm is like affecting her in a major way. She's being a bit nuts. So yeah, the dialogue that was going on was not a positive one and not a loving one. So, and I caught myself in particular this morning, and I think at certain moments of our life we're maybe more vulnerable than others. And this morning, for some reason, I was scrolling, and then I noticed at one point I started feeling a bit shitty. And you really have to be self-aware and notice when that is happening, and then you turn the phone off, get off Instagram, unfollow certain people, whatever you need, because when we do that, it's a real disservice to everything in our life that we have built. And we all have our unique journeys. We are unique, beautiful individuals. And when we start comparing, we just rob ourselves of so much joy and self-love. So I think that comparison is a really big trap. And that is something that we have control over. So negative people in our life, that is one thing, which we have more or less control. We can decide how much we let them in our lives or not, and how much we let them affect us, and make sure that we don't believe what they say if they do have a negative dialogue about us. But comparison, that is completely up to us what we do. So we have the choice whether we fall into that trap and maybe we don't even notice that we're doing it, or start being a little bit more self-aware and stop it when we see that that's happening. So notice if there's any other traps and let's say obstacles to self-love in your life that you might have fallen into. One last element that could be an obstacle to self-love is if maybe you're kind of overwhelmed with life and then you stop doing some of the little self-love rituals that we talked about in the previous weeks. And maybe it can be as simple as just being really tired, and then all of a sudden you start having a really negative dialogue about life, about everything that's happening, and about yourself as well. And if you're maybe in a really kind of chaotic period in your life, if you're not taking the time to do certain things like exercise or meditate or whatever it is that is good for you and brings you joy and is conducive to self-love, then that can be a moment where you might feel that your self-love might dip a little. And for sure, self-love, it's not like a straight line. There can be some ups and downs, but overall you want to see that self-love grow, and you always want to make it a priority. So let me know if you've had any obstacles or challenges in particular to your self-love, and we can find a little solution together perhaps. Or if you've had an obstacle and then you found the solution on your own, I'm sure that can be helpful to other people, because often the struggles that we go through, other people are going through as well. Like, we're all in this together, and sometimes we think that we're, you know, a special case, but yes, we're all very unique and special, but usually the struggles that we have, they're not that special. Other people have gone through them, and so when we share them, we can find solutions together. So I wish you a wonderful week, and don't forget to check in, and Havana's gonna dive off the headboard. It's not distracting at all, Havana. And don't forget to connect with me on Instagram and on Facebook at Red Fairy Project. You can always send me a personal message as well on info@redfairyproject.com. I love you very much, and I will see you soon. Bye.